I have never driven an American car that has steering this good. Monster, dude. Like, amped up with adrenaline and be afraid for my life, and that's what this car gives you. Peak C6 comparison. This one is a 2007 C6 Z06 that has been heavily modified, rebuilt engine, and here we have a 2011 C6 ZR1. Now, the question is, which one makes for a better driving experience? Starting with a Z06 and heavily modifying it, putting a lot of money. I think the owner said he put in like 150 grand in mods, but that includes multiple engine rebuilds to get it from, just in mods, if you started off with a C6 Z06, which is something like 40 to 50K, he said it would take about 80 grand in mods to get it to this point. But we're first going to start with this 2011 C6 ZR1. As always, the full mod list is down in the description. Gotta love, PJ just sets these cars up so well. We reviewed his Evo 6 previously on the channel. Very, very tasteful. This ZR1 is powered by an LS9 engine. That's a 6.2 liter supercharged pushrod V8, making 638 horsepower, 604 pound-feet of torque, with, of course, an LSD. We have carbon ceramic Brembo brakes and Magnerite dampers as standard. This also has the PTM, which is Performance Traction Management, which was introduced in the 2010 model year. Weighs a bit over 3,300 pounds. Comes standard with a carbon fiber roof, fenders, and hood. The market value for this is around 70 to 100K, very mileage dependent because there were fewer than 5,000 made. Now, in terms of mods, we have this MGW short shift with a custom rod and shift knob, Recaro Sportster seats, steering wheel, Apex SM10 19-inch wheels wrapped in Cup 2 tires. That's 295 section width in the front and 245 in the rear. Both Magnerite and power steering were disabled, and instead we have Bilstein Doug Rippy shocks, and of course a Corsa axle back exhaust. Seating position for myself is not optimal because I can't move the seat any further back. And we also seem to have this like larger pedal spacer. Holy shit! Wow, this thing is a monster, dude. And right off the bat, I am shocked by the inputs. I mean, the steering here is so alive, so sharp and precise. It has this beautiful medium weighting, slightly on the heavier side, just what you want in a car like this. This manual transmission is just like so mechanical and tight and precise. Throttle response, also exactly what you'd expect. Wow, very communicative. The suspension is nice and firm, but quick responding, not punishing at all. And man, this V8 is just, I love the noises it's making. Corvette engineers deciding to have a display hood in the front, which you never really see. It's normally only for mid-engine cars. Absolutely love this thing, man. I've usually not been one to, I guess, fall in love with American cars, but I think when you dial them in just right, you can get them to also have these beautiful inputs. This insane power. The brakes here nice and firm, not overly so. Not quite as bitey as a modern GT car, like a Porsche GT car I should say, but actually quite close to that. I'm just really shocked by the inputs because that's been my biggest complaint with American cars. God, that's only 4,000 RPM. Wow. Just corners so effortlessly. You know, its handling its 3,300 pound weight very well. And I feel like these higher speed sweepers calipers are exactly where to enjoy a car like this. I think we have a wide throttle here, so it's actually, I find that it makes it harder to heel toe effectively. But we'll manage. Fucking monster, dude. We're gonna make sure we have traction on. And setting 4. Performance traction 4 is what PJ was recommending, so we'll keep it there. Hello, Spider. I am absolutely blown away by this car. This is so good. I have never driven an American car that has steering this good. It is absolutely alive, pinpoint precise, giving you a lot more feedback than you would expect. And surprisingly, it's not as scary as I was expecting. It's more of a, it gives you a lot more confidence than you would expect, because this car, with the power, the figures, and just the reputation, you would think that it's going to have a super lively rear end and constantly be stepping out on you. But this example is set up in such a way where you have a lot of confidence. And part of that is the performance envelope and just the way the car is set up. But part of that too is, again, having really good inputs, because when you have good inputs and the car is talking to you, you have more trust. It's like being in a relationship where you're constantly worried if your girlfriend's cheating on you versus, you know, saying, hey, we have a great thing going. I trust you, you trust me. We have this nice open line of communication. Jeez, dude. This is definitely my favorite Corvette I've ever driven. This is just so good. Oh yeah, the Recaros really hold you in well, and they're super comfortable too. Shimmies a little bit over some of these bumps. But not in a concerning and nervous way. Wow, I'm just really blown away. I mean, you have such incredible driving dynamics, such incredible inputs. This car is such a joy to drive, and then you pair that with such an insane supercharged engine that is just absolutely next level. And it makes for a very convincing argument for the money. But now let's see how it compares to the C6 Z06. So this 2007 C6 Z06 initially came with the LS7 engine. That's a 7-liter naturally aspirated pushrod V8, making 505 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque stock, made it to a 6-speed manual transmission with, of course, an LSD. But the owner, Quan, has modified this. He actually sleeved, bored, and stroked out the engine so that it's making 700 horsepower to the wheels, and it's now 7.2 liters, still naturally aspirated. Car's weighing in a bit over 3,100 pounds. And of course, just like the other example, we have double wishbone, both front and rear. The market value for this is a lot lower, 40 to 50K, but again, the owner put in like 80K in mods. So in terms of mods, we have CCW 18-inch wheels wrapped in Pirelli slicks. That's 305 front and 325 in the rear, DTC 80 brake pads, Penske coilovers, spherical bushings, a lot of upgraded cooling for the trans and diff and so on, and many other mods you can find linked in the description. So we also have some buckets here. These are far more aggressive. And this is the OEM wheel. Press that, hold tight pitch. And just from that rough idle, you can tell this is no stock C6 Z06. Clutch engagement point super high up compared to the ZR1. Manual transmission also much higher effort. This feels so much more American and brutish. This is what I think of when I think of a Corvette. This is very much like in your face, more is better, America, grow hair on your chest kind of thing. Whereas that ZR1 has this beautiful delicacy to it. That's more my style, right? It's almost as if the Germans were to make a Corvette. That's what that example of a ZR1 feels like. Holy shit. Both of these engines have such insane power, with both cars weighing just a bit over 3,000 pounds, having around 700 horsepower. It's insane. Steering here doesn't have the same level of feedback as in the ZR1. The front end also isn't quite as sharp. It takes a moment to get it turning, changing directions. All the inputs here feel far more aligned with what I would be used to with a Corvette, which, you know, they're a little bit of rough around the edges. They're a bit higher effort. The steering, not so much, but the shifter as an example. The clutch here has a really long throw, which feels different from that ZR1. Not just the engagement point, but even just the amount of throw there is. Both have beautiful linear throttle response. Very easy to rev match. We don't have any funky pedals here, so it's easier to heel toe. Jeez, man. Brakes don't have quite as much of an initial bite. This is interesting because we have these two examples that are really highlighting from this canvas of C6 Corvette what you can do. And this thing is kind of terrifying. It is just such a monster. It's so in your face and loud and brutish, and whoa, even right there we get a little bit of rotation. You have to be more mindful in this car, whereas in that ZR1, it gives you a bit more confidence. It's a bit more communicative. The owner was explaining it. It's like being a skier, having these really nice skis carving through the snow, going back and forth on the twisties, on the sweepers. And I agree, it feels so at home and so planted. And this, it's still quite, it has so much grip and so much performance. But it feels like a little bit more on its toes. I find myself wanting to saw at the wheel a little bit just to see what is the front end doing, whereas I never had that issue with the ZR1. And there's really no right or wrong here. I think it comes down to the style of driving you do and the style of vehicle that you prefer, which for me, as you guys know, I like that delicacy, that precision, that surgical feeling. Whereas others may say, dude, I just want to be like amped up with adrenaline and be afraid for my life, and that's what this car gives you. And again, part of that fear is how much the car communicates to you. And this car is not as communicative as the ZR1, and it has this crazy loud engine, and it has these racing slicks on it. Then it does instill a bit of fear. The owner Quan was saying that it revs out to 7,500 RPM. Looks like stock, it was 7,000. He actually had it going to 8K before, but he said because it was going off the tack, he wanted to reduce it. I love how much power and torque both of these engines have as well. They're actually comparable. I feel like the ZR1 has more mid-range, whereas here you want to rev it out a bit more. Yeah, I can feel it getting a little bit lively through here. That makes you work with it. It's higher effort, it's more on edge, it demands more of you as a driver. And that adds to the excitement. Of all the cars I've ever driven, this is the one that getting into the driver's seat, I was the most apprehensive, being like, oh my god, this car's gonna try to kill me. But getting behind the driver's seat, I'm not gonna call it tame, it's definitely not tame, but it's not as much of a wild, scary, dangerous beast as the first impression may give. And it's also just painfully loud. The owner Quan trailers this thing around, which in large part is due to the tires, but also because it's just, imagine driving this car for more than 30 minutes. You know, it is not a relaxing experience. It is an assault on all of your senses, especially your ears. You're gonna just deafen yourself, but my god, what an incredible experience. Big shout out to the owners, PJ and Quan, for letting me review their C6 Corvettes. Let me know with a comment down below, which one would you pick? Either the ZR1 that feels more surgical, more German, or the wild beast Z06. Much love, my friends. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on jabalandcars.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.